Okay, this is Math 1088, page 7, 8, and 9. So there's not very many problems between these 3 pages, so we're going to combine all 3 of them. It's mostly the same thing anyway. Okay, so the first step is to isolate your variable. Your variable is x. That's what we're trying to solve for. So we're going to isolate it and move our term to the right side of the parentheses by doing the inverse operation. In this case, the inverse operation is negative. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, so when I do that, I got positive 6 and minus 6 is 0. So all I have on the left side now is the x squared. And then I'm going to bring down my equal sign. And then 55 minus 6 is 49. Okay, so we're supposed to be solving for x, not x squared. So how do I solve for x when I have an x squared? So to solve a square, you do the inverse operation, which is taking the square root. To solve a square, the inverse operation is to square root both sides. So the square root of x squared is x. Because remember, you have a little imaginary 2 there. You take your exponent that's on the inside and you divide it by your square. And then the square root of 49 is 7. All right, and that is your answer. Okay, so we're going to move on to number 3. And you do the exact same thing. So I have a negative 25 and I need a positive 25 to move it over to the right side. Because remember, my job is to isolate my variable. So negative 25 and positive 25 become 0. 75 plus 25 is 100. X squared equals 100. So take the square root of both sides. And x is going to equal 10. Okay. Moving on over to page 8. Again, it's the same thing. You should be able to do it without me at this point. Okay, at this point, if that's not what you got, or if this is not, if I did it quicker than you and this is not where you were going with it, you need to stop the video now and start over and do it again. You need to erase what you've already wrote down, do it all over again, because this is a very simple add-on to what you've already been doing. And if you can at least get to this point right here, then you have not understood anything else that we have done so far. And you need to stop and start over. Okay? So we're going to move on. So this is at the bottom of page 8. This is page 8 and page 9. So it is literally the exact same thing. What we've done now is we have added in the things that we were doing over on page 5, where it had your like terms on both sides and you had to move things from both sides. It's the exact same thing, but now we're dealing with a square instead of just x. All right, so you should be able to work this out and do it on your own without me. So I'm going to work it out and you work it out on your own as well. All right, x is going to equal 6. So you should be able to get to that step. If not, then you're missing something somewhere. This first step here, you should have been able to do without even thinking. That should be the easiest part of this whole thing. If it's not, you need to watch the previous videos. And then this step right here where you're dividing, again, that should just be done without even thinking. The only part at this point that you would have trouble with is when you get down here to taking the square root of both sides. And even that is just only adding one step. You should be able to do it with no problem. All right, so let's do a couple of more and see what you can come up with. So this time our like terms are both on the left side of the equal sign, so we don't have to move anything. So that means that we're just going to perform the operation that is there. So 3x squared plus 5x, or plus 2x squared is 5x squared. And that's going to equal 125. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And x squared is going to equal 125 divided by 5 is 25. So from here, you just take the square root of both sides, and x is going to equal 5. Okay. Number 3 over on page 9. So this one we're going to have to move. That's a positive 118, so I'm going to perform the opposite action, which is negative. Leaves me with 7x squared on the left side equals 112 minus 118. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 7. That's going to give me x squared equals 1. So then I just take the square root of both sides. Square root of x is x. And the square root of 1 is 1. Okay, moving on to number 5, and this will be the last one that we do. You should be able to do the rest of them on your own. All right, so I'm going to move my variable to the left side, and I'm going to move all the other stuff to the right side. So I have negative 5x. I'm going to add 100. All right, going from left to right, 7x squared minus 5x squared is 2x squared. Negative 100 plus 100 is 0. That's going to equal 288. Positive 5x minus 5x is 0. Then I'm going to divide. Again, this is stuff that you should be able to do without even thinking. This is stuff that we've been doing the whole time. X squared equals 288 divided by 2 is 144. When you take the square root of both sides, x equals 12. So you may not be able to do it quite as quick as I can on your own. You may not be able to do it as quick as I'm doing it, you know, trying to do it with me and trying to keep up. But you should know all of these steps. You should know that I'm going to do it even if you haven't got to that step yet. And you can pause the video before I even start, work out your problem, and then play the video back and make sure that we got the same answers.